Hello there, my very good friends, and welcome to this afternoon news video. This is the news, good after news. The gimmicks are coming at y'all at once on this one. We are going to talk about how things almost went very wrong at WrestleMania 40.
How WWE have no plans for Cody Rhodes.
We're also going to talk about the major WWE star who is re-signed with the company as of today.
And Bryan selling the damage of the Storm Driver as part of a major WWE storyline.
Ooh, nice. I'm Andy.
I'm Michael.
And this is the good after. I've forgotten all the things we do on these videos. I do like 2 of them a day. I still can't remember. And you know what else I can't remember? WrestleMania 40. Actually, I can't remember. It was really good.
That's all I think about, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it got the perfect ending in the end, didn't it? Well, you know, Steve Austin would have been fun, but we all popped for the dead man. And we all learned newfound respect for the business.
Create a beer for the board.
Just rambling pish. But things almost went very wrong at WrestleMania 40. Would you like to know how?
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
This is an account from the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Big Dave, in his current state. Let me just read through you a sequence of events. So, first of all, something that's a pretty interesting revelation in the first instance is that Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman were the people who convinced Vince McMahon and Paul Levesque that Roman should go over at WrestleMania 39.
Yeah.
Which is pretty interesting in the first instance, because up until now, it had been, Paul and Vince deliberated on it and they changed their mind, blah, 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 blah. But with regards to WrestleMania 40, there was an idea thrown around. Cody Rhodes would have won the Rumble. And he did win the Rumble, obviously.
Yeah.
That decision was made because at one point, somebody suggested that they would do an injury angle to Cody Rhodes after he'd won the Rumble.
Yeah.
This would lead to The Rock getting the title shot at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Right? With the idea being that Rhodes would get his title shot and his win later. So not at Mania, because he'd be injured. Rock would get the title shot. Rock would go to WrestleMania, and at one point this was the idea, beat Roman Reigns, become the champion, end the run, the historic 4th longest ever run.
Yep.
He would then go back to Hollywood.
Yeah, of course.
And when he gets to Hollywood, he would vacate that title.
Thanks, Rock.
But after vacating the title, he would start calling himself the People's Champion, which has always been his nickname. But he'd have the Muhammad Ali's family belt, all that stuff. And he would call himself the People's Champion, even while he was away, even after he'd vacated the belt. Pause for your thoughts so far. There's a couple more wrinkles to this, but so far, so rubbish, right?
So far, so...
yeah.
Thanks. I hate it. Like the Roman Reigns 39 news, I genuinely get. There was a look before WrestleMania 39 where Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes did a face-to-face, and Cody looked completely overwhelmed in the shadow of Roman Reigns. And it was the first point where I was like, I'm not going to doubt this. It's absolutely the move. But wow, they've sure minimised Cody's chances in this promo. They must have a lot of faith in him to win. And then, of course, he goes on to lose. And then in that press conference, Paul Heyman in particular is very bullish about, what was it, bottom of the third, whatever the sporting analogy he used. It was like
17th inning, something
there
like that.
was a man that had that decision pretty much set in his mind for a number of weeks, maybe even months, that, 39 was not going to be Cody's night. So I can sort of pass that one. I can now. And not least I've had a year to emotionally try and cope with it anyway. This WrestleMania 40 stuff, man, absolutely wild. I will never forget covering the Rumble live in this very studio and seeing Cody Rhodes point up at that box. He was like looking at that like, you Roman. And assuming that he was instructed to do it, like that was what we were all allowed to finally permit ourselves to think, it's happening, we're over the line, lads. That was what made The Rock coming out that following week on SmackDown all the more disarming. Like, I don't know if you remember the timeline specifically, but Seth on the prior Raw had said, don't fight Roman, fight me. And we all just thought, that's a really convincing promo from Seth. He wants to elevate his own title ahead of whatever he's doing at WrestleMania. That's cool booking. Turned out there was just 80 different plans and everybody was pretty scared, and like The Rock was being The Rock and Triple H was being... Everyone was being themselves with the possible exception of Cody and Seth, who kind of just had to, stand there and keep their fingers crossed that things were going to work out.
Shove their thumb up their bum and hope for the best, as you do in such situations.
It's no wonder the Punker was speaking so confidently of going for the belt before he got injured, because at this point he's probably thinking he's in with a show.
He might as well.
Might as well give it a go. If I just say this enough, might they book it?
Have a match.
It's wild, man. Absolutely wild.
So to bring you back up to date, we're currently at the situation where The Rock is away in Hollywood. He's the People's Champ and he's vacated the belt. He didn't lose the belt. He vacated it.
I cannot... Right?
What would have happened then? What would have happened to the belt after he vacated it? Per Dave Meltzer, so he's got an interesting track record these days, but we'll talk about it.
It's Triple H, 64-man tournament.
Well, it may have been a 64-man tournament. The means to get to the end are not confirmed here, but Roman would have won it back after the belt had been vacated, and then Cody would have won it from Roman later down the line. What?
Thanks, I ate it again.
So some people spoke out against this. The main bone of contention about this
was all of it?
Was all of it, yeah. But the idea that Rhodes eventually winning it would have been hurt by all this nonsense, right? Especially was because Cody's going to carry the company this year and next. Other people said that no matter what happened regarding The Rock getting the match, he couldn't win the title because Cody had to be the one to dethrone Reigns in the end, which is 100% correct. Look, this is mental. Dwayne Johnson absolutely rules. I believe fully that this was his idea, and that only increases the legend and the lore.
I purposely, bit behind the curtain, didn't want to know that information so I could come in and react naturally as we record this video. I now have a stress headache, so that was a bad idea. I should have read this ahead of time. But interestingly, right, there is a documentary soon to drop that was supposed to fall just after, the Wednesday after WrestleMania, featuring The Rock, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, all the key players as talking heads. You saw the trailer. I forget the name of it, but like it's a WrestleMania, the story so far, whatever.
I think it's WrestleMania, How The Rock Saved Everything.
It would maybe be that. WrestleMania.
It's produced by him, so
WrestleMania, and then just a load of like F words, bang, 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 bang. No, just it was obviously going to tell the story of the pivot. And it seemed, it's crazy to think that what actually happened is now the simple version of events, isn't it? They had an idea, then in Vegas they changed it and we got what we got. No, it's far more detailed. I wonder if the delay of that documentary is to fold in some of this information, and the fact that it has been revealed now by Dave Meltzer. Like, I will let you use your own imagination to work out who some of the sources might have been for Dave, based on historically some of the stuff he's reported as well. Makes me wonder what will appear in this documentary, what versions of the story we're going to get.
It keeps getting remade, doesn't it? Because he keeps getting bad PR, so it gets delayed over and over.
Cody Rhodes' autobiography continues to be the most fascinating book yet to be written, doesn't it? If you factor in his last 5 years alone, like every major story revolves around him, and in some cases, like lifts him out of it entirely. I want to hear from Brandy Rhodes on this, quite honestly. Like, I think we need to reach out to Brandy to get her take on this.
She needs to host an open mic night. We get to the bottom of this business. Hey, but let us know what you think of this. Believe it or not, the source on this is not kayfabe news. Shout outs to them. It's come from the Daver, who has had a lot of Rock adjacent stuff lately. Look, when I said earlier that this rules, I don't think it would. I think it would be the worst idea of all time, right? Let me make that very clear. But the chaos and the carnage is incredible, and if it had happened, my goodness, would we have been dining out on it for a while?
It's one thing, I think, to sort of want stories to have actual endings once again after 20 years of WWE just kind of making it up as they go along. A lot of this stuff, oddly, we've got far enough away from like the 02 to 22 period that we had sort of normalised this kind of stuff. Things just being torn up and like, oh, we're just doing that now, are we? Fair enough. So it's almost quite nice to be back in the world where they follow the rules of fiction a little bit. This is a throwback to that, plus the Shark Tank Attitude Era when the guys were like ready to cut each other's heads off for a spot.
And that's what I love most about it, is that aspect. It would have been straight out of the Vince playbook, right? It would have been like, oh hey, he won the title eventually, so it means the same, with no core understanding of how storytelling actually works. Have at it in the comments section. I'm sure it'll be a fun one. Cody Rhodes.
We can relax now, guys, because obviously with all that chaos and instability, you want a bit of security for the rest of 24. Well, Duff Diddy said the key, because Cody Rhodes got no plans until Roman Reigns and The Rock comes back. What the hell is going on here? This is again according to the Wrestling Observer. The quote is, Cody Rhodes has no real big time direction until Rock and Roman Reigns are back in the picture. The other biggest star on the brand is Randy Orton, but they're doing nothing to tease anything in that direction. Again, consider sources, consider the reporting. The naming of Roman, Rock and Randy as the only big stars undermines a lot of solid names that WWE has built up in the last sort of 12 to 18 months, provisionally to challenge someone like a Cody Rhodes now that he's going to be the workman-like champion. But wait, this is wild. This is absolutely wild. Triple H, since 2022, has booked long title reigns, has put people into single spots, the likes, I'm thinking of a Jey Uso as the best example, but like Damian Priest currently is the world champion. Seth Rollins is a guy built up to have that world title that was a toy belt and make it mean something. all of these people to be the guys that will be there every week in these PLE main events, and then sometimes shunt a bit to the side when the big stars, the huge stars come back.
Yeah.
Then he brings in someone like a CM Punk, who is like a total X factor, but again, a top guy, you know? And apparently Cody Rhodes has got nobody to work with. Murray, what's going on?
Yeah, when he says like no, what is it, long-term direction? Is that the exact phrase?
Yeah.
So that might just simply mean that maybe they do have some feuds and stuff lined up for him. Maybe it's just like, hey, he'll do Randy for a month. He'll do name a LA Knight for a month.
Yeah.
Whatever. So it might be something like that. It might essentially be something of a holding pattern until The Rock and Roman get back. Because the big matches for Cody at the moment, right? The two biggest ones are The Rock and Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Right? I would definitely try and do that third Roman Reigns match at some point. And The Rock, obviously, they've left that carrot dangling after the events of WrestleMania and the Raw after WrestleMania. That being said, there are big time programs for it.
Yeah.
Gunther, I know they're on different brands and all that. Yep, so there's a thing.
Punk's the AEW Dream match that got away, isn't
exactly.
it? Like, there's huge stuff for Cody.
And again, brands, but the brand split is really soft now. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Also, like Randy Orton, I know a lot of people are quite cynical towards Randy Orton and his style and his legacy as a pro wrestler. But there is some previous ground to explore there with their history. Yeah, there's plenty of lore. It's a sensible story for them to tell. And also, Randy Orton is really over at the moment.
Yep.
Why not? Why not capitalize on that? And he has been for a while. Kevin Owens would be fun.
Yeah.
There are fun options.
You're right. There's a lot of like, oh, you need this guy for 4 weeks. Plug him in. Logan Paul is like, SummerSlam's going to be in Cleveland.
Yeah.
They've got like sort of obviously Jey Uso at the moment, again fighting for one title, but him and Cody have got a relationship and a bond at this point. They're not short of names.
Eric Rowan's coming back.
Indeed, Eric Rowan is coming back.
I'm joking. I like Eric Rowan. He's fun.
They're not short of names. Like, it is an overcast of characters. This much we know. But the idea that they'll just sort of figure it out as they're riding up and down a road, talking towns with Steve Austin and Barry Windham, doesn't exactly feel like you want to picture the whiteboard with Cody, don't you? Like, surely the first name in a creative meeting, right, what's Cody's next 6 months looks like? Then we'll figure out.
If I could say one thing slightly fed-pilled, right?
I'm all ears.
Is that
I need it right now.
It's quite similar to post-WrestleMania 39, where it was like, okay, they are clearly going to do the rematch at 40, right? And then it was a bit confusing.
And then
then Big Dwayne came back. Well, it's quite similar to that in that we're all wondering how are they going to do this for a year, or at least until the Rumble. And we ended up with the Nakamura feud for a lot of this, and it was a little bit overlong. Maybe they had one match too many, maybe two or whatever. And the match quality was, good. I think the one big street fight, hardcore, whatever the stipulation they had on Raw was really good. But the thing about that was, while it wasn't necessarily the most inspiring creative, the Nakamura. Why can't I say Nakamura? What the hell's going on with me? While the Shinsuke Nakamura feud wasn't the most inspiring creatively, Cody made it work and stayed really over. So I don't buy this idea that people are already souring on him. I think that the reporting on declining ratings and attendances for his tenure as champion, number one, is far too small a sample size. Number two, actually, when you compare these markets to year over year, he's doing pretty well. I think it's really disingenuous. So I think he'll be just fine. That being said, the idea of them not having anything long term is objectively hilarious. Beyond Roman Reigns and who's the other guy? Dwayne Johnson. That's
missing him enough on Raw as it is. Like 3 hours without Cody is rough. Let alone with him sort of stuck with nobody to fight on SmackDown.
That's okay. You can get I don't know. I was going to just disrespect someone by saying, this person's still in.
This suck-ass.
You know what? I'm not burying people anymore. Let's move over to Seth Rollins. He is re-signed with WWE. Woo! Da-da-da-da. Whoa! There you go. That's his entrance.
That's what he does.
Yep. This is according to Fightful Select, and it's news that will surprise nobody on the planet. He is re-signed with WWE for a multi-year big money deal. Now, somebody close to the situation commented that the WWE were not going to let him go. This is what they were told in February, and they have not let him go. They've given him a new deal. He is signed. One WWE higher-up has said that while they wish the deal had been done a little bit sooner, the one they nailed down means that Rollins will be with WWE until he's into his 40s. So you can do the math on that one. This comes in the same couple of weeks. We've had Finn Balor, he's re-signed. Drew, re-signed. Sheamus, we need some news on him. Becky as well, Seth's wife, of course. Pretty important bond. We'll see if her news breaks sometime soon as well, but I'd expect all these people to re-sign. Damian Priest has a new contract too. So Rollins had some outside interest, but there's no word on whether or not any offers were made. That would have been pretty illegal, so probably not.
Yeah.
I'd imagine. His deal was due to expire in June. He's staying. He's injured at the moment. He was included on the draft. I can't imagine Seth Rollins wrestling anywhere else ever again, personally.
It's hard to visualise, isn't it? Which I guess was part of the appeal of him potentially moving.
Yeah.
I know we often report so much as share, but I actually know who got the scoop on all these new contract signings, by the way. It was a one Postman Pat having had to deliver 7 swords, care of The Rock, to all the new signings. Everyone gets a sword now while they're out for dinner. The Drew video went down so well. It's like, right, get Seth's sword in a post. Like, the contract is actually, the dollar figure is just inscribed on the thing. So that's how we're getting all the info.
The money is, your payment is the value of the sword. It's not money.
Jess the cat's worried about becoming a kebab with so many swords. No, Seth in WWE feels about right. And look, I hope he got that bag as well. I've been saying this like with every new signing that we get. Like, the obvious state of wrestling at the top means that like the money at the bottom needs to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. We know that trickle-down economics rarely works, let alone in pro wrestling. But someone like a Seth Rollins, especially after like the run he did have with that belt and the way he just cashed his character in for the good of the bigger stories at wrestling, not just in the main event with Roman and Cody, but within his own feud against Drew and Punk and all that sort of stuff. Seth showed, I think, he's probably not getting a lot of credit for this, but showed quite a lot of guts to allow himself to be sacrificed in the way he was. Kind of like a bit of a dweeb. But like with a certain amount of faith that would be recovered down the line.
Yeah. He's going to go over the dead man in the end. I think that's the payoff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to feud with the dead man.
It's LTST from when the Shield bombed him back in 2013.
That's right. They're paying it off.
There we go. Do you know who else they were fighting in 2013? One Mr. Daniel Bryan, a.k.a. Bryan Danielson. Ever heard of him? He's in
American Dragon.
That's the guy. He's in AEW at the moment, selling time off for the injury following the Storm Driver spot in the Classic Dynasty match with Will Ospreay. Ospreay has since said that he will retire the move. Callis is saying no, breaking people's necks is class, and Danielson's taking time off about that. The report again from the Wrestling Observer says that the move was landed completely safely. I think not that anything like that is mega safe, but the replay showed it was as safe as it could have been. But Danielson was doing the twitch selling at the end to put over the severity. They had Ospreay help him, cart him out to help facilitate his continuing babyface turn / split from the Callis family. Obviously, all of this is storyline as part of Danielson's ongoing final year as a full-timer, and the supposed him going through his last big matches before he curbs it and moves into a part-time schedule. Cody Rhodes taught him how to lie, I believe was the quote from Bryan at the time. But yeah, Bryan is off, but only selling injuries, so I guess presumably we can expect him back maybe for the Double or Nothing cycle, but certainly for that long Forbidden Door all-in run that AEW have got after Vegas is out the way.
That's why he's off TV at the moment. That makes sense. We all knew it was a work. I think we all knew it was a work when they let Will assist him and stuff. It's like, you're not a Dr. William. What's going on here? Yeah. But I also thought it was an extremely effective work.
It's good for Ospreay, wasn't it?
Yeah, the levels they've gone to, the lengths that they've gone to, really should be commended. Bryan selling, number one. I love all the twitchy selling. I know some people find it a bit close to the bone. Hey, I'm a freak. I'm not one of them. Ospreay,
a bit close to the spine.
Yeah, the Tony Bone. You have Ospreay at the press conference saying, "Oh, bruv, I'm so worried, bruv. I'm going to retire the move. I'm going to replace it with a jelly deal bomb." Yeah, that's a
quote. Write that down.
There he is. Jelly this bastard and turn him into a wrestling move.
That's Bryan's actual spine.
That's it. It's turned into a plastic eel. And then you have Bryan being off TV. Look, it's just a really good selling thing, and good. Wrestling is good. But hey, look, let us know what you think on this absolute weird pile of stuff.
Weird pile of news.
I'm really lost. That might be the title of this video. Weird pile of news. Thank you for tuning in. As always, we love you. We respect you. We adore you, actually. J'adore.
We're going to Backlash.
We're going to Leon tomorrow. We're going to have a lion bar. Just watch this video. It's good. It's about gimmick matches. Have a nice day. Mick Foley. Remember him?
I love him.